Today's video is sponsored by ExpressVPN.
There's so much to do in Peppermint Park, so won't you come along and...
Boys and girls, here's something you can do when you can't go to the park. Or maybe your friends can't come over to play.
We're introducing the letter M. It's such a great letter.
But you may want to have your mommy come in the room, because we're going to be showing a very special recipe.
Probably go to the nearest cash register or checkout stand.
And that loud noise can save your life.
For a little carrot snack.
I think when it comes to modern day media, a lot of people are just really kind of getting tired of it. Like whether that's just the same show being made every day or a good show coming along but then getting canceled after a few seasons by its provider. Whatever the case, a lot of people are just kind of getting tired of the way media is being developed nowadays and just stick to other forms, especially when it comes to YouTube. But if there is one type of media that a lot of people seem to have a strong connection with and one that a lot of people are very fascinated with, it's lost media. And when it comes to people's favorite formats, that will definitely go to the VHS tape because that's the one a lot of us have grown up with. So mixing the two together with lost media and VHS tapes, it's kind of a match made in heaven. Especially considering that the VHS alone helped give us such internet classics like You on Kazoo and the Donkey Kong animated series. It also helped preserve a ton of lost media like commercials, TV show specials, and even the final episode of a direct-to-video series that just so happened to be the final acting performance for an actor. God, I will never forget that story. But if there is one uniquely fascinating piece of media that was almost lost but preserved thanks to the VHS tapes, and would be one that would outgrow more than just a meme or funny little thing to watch, one that still perplexes many people to this day, that will go to the one, the only Peppermint Park. If you don't know what Peppermint Park is a direct-to-video series that is mainly well known for featuring puppets, but also contain mixtures of live action and animation, kind of like Sesame Street in a way. The series gained notoriety for its premise, the actors' line delivery, and the overall kind of unsettling vibe that the series gives off. It also gained a lot of notoriety thanks to the amount of YouTubers that touched on it, like Pyrocynical, Moist Critical, and of course, Chatronic. But with all of that said, what the hell is this series? Where did it come from? Who created it? Where did any of this happen in the first place? Well, that's what I'm going to be answering in this video. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you all through the semi-unknown history of Peppermint Park, and I will also be somewhat reviewing the series itself along the way. I'll be taking you through the ups, then downs, and how we got here in the first place. But first, I would like to give a big thank you to today's sponsor, my first ever sponsor as well, ExpressVPN. Your IP address is very important when it comes to connecting to the internet, but it's also one that's very vulnerable. So if you get into an unencrypted internet connection, there's a good chance that that IP address could be exposed, and there's a good chance that your information could get leaked. But you get what I'm saying. So when it comes to a VPN, especially ExpressVPN, what they'll do is they'll take that IP address, hiding it as another IP address, and then having that one be the one that you go on to when it comes to the internet, and that'll be the one that your IP providers as well as the other certain grabbers will be seeing. And this is especially important when it comes to streaming services, because some streaming services will have shows that I want to watch, but I can't watch them because they are in a different country. Thankfully, with ExpressVPN, all I have to do is just connect to that country, refresh the browser, and boom, I now have access to the full library that streaming service has. And with ExpressVPN's fast internet connections, it'll almost be like you're not even using it to begin with. So, what are you waiting for? Go check out ExpressVPN via my link, which will be on the screen right now and in the description below. And if you use my link, you'll be able to get your first 3 months completely for free. Alright, back to the video. Actually, what was I going to be saying? Alright, let's back it up a bit. Today, I'm going to take you all through the semi-unknown history of Peppermint Park, and I'll also be reviewing the series itself along the way. So, with all of that said, these are the tales from Peppermint Park. Our story begins sometime between late 1986 and early 1987. Two production companies, Televidix Productions and Mark V International, are getting ready to work on a video series that they've been working on for a while that's based on puppets, animation, and education. Unfortunately, the sole creator of the series is still unknown, as none of the credits for the series give us any information in that regard. What we do know, however, is that the series itself was directed by a man named John Horton, and the puppets were made by Dan O'Quinn and David Chapman. No, not that Dave Chapman, that's a completely different person. Anyway, I did find Dan's Instagram while researching this topic, and he's actually got some pretty interesting stuff under his belt, like these Domino's Yonoid figures, as well as the McDonald's Mac Tonight figures, both of which were used for giveaways. He also made this insane 5 Vince Lombardi trophy that's made out of chicken wings, which definitely speaks for the advertising back in the day, I think. But yeah, back on the subject. So in the span of a few months, they got to work on making the series. John, as well as another company, Tuesday Productions, did the music. Those Designers Inc. did the animation. And soon after that, on March 1st, 1987, Peppermint Park was heard around their local California area, thanks to word of mouth. And the name itself would be filed on August 3rd. So after months of prepping, months of getting things set up, and soon after getting the name signed, the first ever VHS tape of the Peppermint Park series was released. The episode was titled Magic Moments, and the VHS box would give us this description. Learn about the letter A and the color red. Meet the clowns, and more. The tape would be what would set in stone for the direction that this series was going to go. And oh boy, what a tape to start off with.
Good friends, gonna get together with good friends. Everything is better with friends like you. There's so much to do in Peppermint Park. So won't you come along?
I'm not going to go into the entire tape here because some of it can be summed up pretty easily, but some notable moments from this episode would be the magician performance done by Ray Pierce, the Color Red song, which, by the way, the singer had no reason to go this hard on it. Honestly, one of the best segments on this tape.
Red's such a flaming fella, and even though he's not everybody's favorite color, it'll always be red hot. I'm tired of feeling blue.
There's also the Scarecrow segment where they have a bunch of its limbs pop off, which gives me way too many Dancing Skeleton vibes. And finally, there's the iconic Blowing Bubbles segment at the end. A lot of the tropes that would be in this episode would appear in later episodes, but one thing they did start doing was adding instructions on how to create things and then have your parents around them in order to help them, which I honestly think is kind of cool because, as you know, this series didn't really last long. So I guess this is like a way of making something from the show, I guess. So if you want your own like Peppermint Park memorabilia and it's a sack of clay, there you go, there's the ingredients. I guess the best way to describe it is like if Sesame Street was a low-budget direct-to-video series. That is literally what this is. I mean, after all, both shows are named after street titles. But yeah, overall, Magic Moments had a pretty decent set list, but unfortunately, one that wouldn't help keep the show's momentum. And the public somewhat agreed. Afterwards, they would release some more tapes in the series, with the ones being found so far being The Story Lady, Music Land, Musical Letters, Carnival Fun, and Discover Feelings. However, those releases wouldn't come without some major sacrifices. Musicland would be the last episode to be made with Mark V Productions, as their building had ended up being burned by the time the episode wrapped up. The rest from here would be picked up by Televitics. A few puppets were either discontinued or lost after Musical Letters, and Discover Feelings was so hard to find that it was believed that Carnival Fun was the last episode. So yeah, not a great look for the Peppermint Park series, and it looked like it was coming to an end. And that's exactly what happened. Production wrapped up by 1988, and after a year, all the tapes from the series would become out of print. By this point, Peppermint Park would only be aired through Inoki Films' low-power TV stations. This would only last for 1 year, between 1990 and 1991, making those the only television airings of the show, and after that, Peppermint Park would only be remembered as a faint memory. Most of the tapes were long forgotten, some were sold out, some were destroyed, and next thing you know, the show would eventually fade into lost media. Afterwards, people would only remember certain segments of the show by faint memory. A fairly small artist named Andrew Norman Wilson said he actually remembers being terrified by the dancing scarecrow segment, which could be seen on Magic Moments. Hey, post-production Daniel here. It should also be worth noting that in 2016, Andrew would recreate this Scarecrow segment for an exhibit. He titled it Reality Models, and not only is it basically an extended remake of the Scarecrow segment for Peppermint Park, but he also went and used the exact same background music that was used in the original segment as well. Oh, and that doesn't stop there, because Nick and Tosca, who you might know of for Sci-Fi's Channel Zero, based season 1 of Channel Zero, titled Candle Cove, after Peppermint Park and other creepy puppet shows. So yeah, I wanted to add that here somewhere in the video. I thought I'd let you guys know about that. Anyways, let's get back to the video. But after that, nothing came out of it. Nothing would be heard about the show for the next 20 or so years. And it seemed like its remembrance was about to fade. That was until August of 2010, when media YouTuber Cringe Vision, love that name by the way, started uploading what would be a total of 10 clips from the show onto his channel. Those clips would be the first 5 minutes of the Musicland episode, the letter M song from Musicland, the Blowing Bubbles segment from Magic Moments, Maynard singing about Blue from The Story Lady, Little Bit explaining the number 4, the Scarecrow dance, Piggy explaining stoplights, the Magic performance, and the Color Red song, all 5 of which coming from Magic Moments. These uploads not only confirmed the rediscovery of Peppermint Park for the internet, but also confirmed that some of the tapes, especially Magic Moments, were found. And oh boy, it's finally time we get to talk about this. This upload of the Blowing Bubbles clip would help bring even more light to Peppermint Park on the internet, when on January 19th, 2016, British commentary YouTuber Pyro Cynical uploaded his video about the Bubbles segment, titled Scary Video on YouTube.
Here's something you can do when you can't go to the park. Or maybe your friends can't come over to play.
I don't know what they were smoking when they made these puppets. You're supposed to make something that's family friendly and attractive, something that the kids and the adults like. These just look like they're in a constant state of pain, stuck in a coma, just having Vietnam flashbacks.
Classic Pyro. Good times. You know, this whole timeliness is actually very similar to You on Kazoo in a way. It started off with a curious, funny little upload. It got attention from people, and only to discover not only the full tapes afterwards, but also more from the same series. It's kind of fascinating what the internet does. and I love it. But yeah, so sometime after that, on August 12, 2016, just about 6 years after Cringe Vision posted the 10 clips of the show, YouTuber and current game designer Chadtronic would upload his video, Worst Puppet Show Ever, in which he would react to all 10 uploads in almost chronological order, only moving the Color Red song to before the stoplight skit. So yeah, investigations started off in 2016 after both Pyro and Chad's videos gained popularity, and throughout 2017 and ending in 2018, and with the help of Icy Roserade, Pumpkin Marion, and a whole slew of lost media detectives from the community, all 6 currently known tapes of the Peppermint Park series were found and preserved. Of course, none of the tapes would be in chronological order from when they found them, but funnily enough, like I said before, the 6th episode was actually so hard to find that it almost just became a myth. But yeah, all 6 of them were preserved, and they are now still available to watch here on YouTube. As of the making of this video, there has yet to be any more news regarding Peppermint Park. The only thing of note was the final commentary reaction video of the show, which was done by Moist Critical, or Penguin Zero, on August 4th, 2019, almost a decade after the initial discovery by Cringe Vision. And that was it. No new discoveries were made, no other information about the show has come to life, no other people came forward and said that they worked on it, nobody has said anything about how they're doing nowadays. That's kind of it. We're just kind of left on a blank, and it's kind of sad to watch. It honestly does kind of surprise me how the internet can discover all of these pieces of media just from a funny little upload of a clip from the show. That's super cool, honestly, and I'm actually really happy that these tapes were discovered in the first place. The world needs a lot more of this kind of stuff, so the lost media teams that are watching this video, we have to thank you for your service in keeping these tapes archived. They're honestly really fun to look back on, and it's really nice to know that a lot of these old tapes that we grew up with are still being remembered and now being preserved for future generations to come. It's honestly really cool to look at. I should probably go back to the first subject I did brought up when it comes to VHS tapes, and that was the final performance thing I talked about. That comes from The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald, and I will never forget watching that cartoon growing up because I had the tapes. We got them from a random thrift store. My grandparents got them for me, and I'll never forget sitting down there and watching these tapes, and also being shocked that Klasky Chupo, the people that did Rugrats, were a part of it, which I honestly thought was super cool. So seeing people still talk about that show, especially now that the McDonald Lynn Locke episode was found, and knowing that was Christine Cavanaugh's final performance, it honestly warms my heart, and it makes me glad that people are still talking about it. So yeah, to the VHS archivists and to the archivists altogether that are watching this video, I want you to know that we respect you for what you do, and we are very grateful for your service. Always remember that your work and the things you've done for us are absolutely wonderful. We're forever grateful for all of you helping to keep our memories intact and to have these talented people still be remembered to this day. And we are forever happy to have that for as long as the internet and the act of archiving is still around. Or at least, I hope.
You may have heard about the drama surrounding the Internet Archive over the last few years. They're currently fighting a lawsuit that's been called an existential threat to all libraries, media preservation, and an affront to fair use, whilst detracting from
everybody, thank you so much for watching the Tales from Peppermint Park. I am so happy to have this video finally done. I've literally spent like 4 years trying to think about how to get this video structured and out there. I'm not even kidding, it's been years since I came up with the idea, and I'm so happy to finally get it out there, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did making it. But I want to hear what you think. What are your thoughts on Peppermint Park, and what are your thoughts on Lost Media as a whole? Tell me in the comments. And if you have any other suggestions for what you want me to talk about next, then be sure to submit them via Twitter, Discord, and in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new, the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so that way you'll be notified whenever I upload a video. And if you want to support me even further, then you could go check out the merchandise store, which will be in the description below. And so, with all of that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Thank you.